eGPUs has been around for a while, but I still get a lot of questions under my eGPU videos, including confusion about why someone still uses Thunderbolt when the Oculink port exists. In this video I want to close most of the questions, compare the pros and cons of both types of eGPU, compare performance under the same conditions, share some tips, and help you to decide which eGPU is actually better. But before that, today's video is brought to you by Ugreen. If you need to charge your device on the go, Ugreen has you covered with their power bank that packs some insane capabilities in such a small form factor. 140 watts of fast charging from a single port. That way you can charge a 16-inch MacBook Pro up to 56% in just 30 minutes. And the best part is that you can charge 3 devices at once, whether it's AirPods, a phone or a laptop. It has a massive 25,000 mAh capacity, and it's enough to completely recharge laptops up to 1.3 times and mobile devices up to 5.2 times. And thanks to advanced stacking technology, it's surprisingly compact and lightweight and easily fits into your backpack. Plus it's airplane friendly, so you can take it anywhere without a hassle. And it even comes with this soft pouch. Power bank can be fully recharged in just 2 hours, if you use a proper charger like this one. It's fast enough to charge the M2 MacBook Air to 55% in less than 30 minutes. And it can also charge 4 devices at once. So, if you're looking for a powerful, efficient and portable charging solution, or a good charger for all your daily needs, check out Ugreen Prime Day deals with up to 41% off using my link in the description. Let's start with the fact that there are 3 main types of eGPU: Thunderbolt, Oculink and M.2. M.2 is the most affordable option. It performs well and works with almost any device, even the old laptops. But to connect it, you must disassemble your device and have a free M.2 slot for it. That's why some people replace the Wi-Fi card with a USB variant to free up the M.2 slot for the eGPU. Once it's connected, it will perform worse than a directly connected GPU due to the bandwidth limit, because regular PCIe slot on the motherboard has 16 PCIe lines. While in case of the eGPU, we will have only 4. These lines can be of different versions. In case of M.2, it could be version 3 and 4. And the difference in bandwidth limit between them is double. Keep in mind that to achieve PCIe 4 speed, your motherboard and GPU must support it. Otherwise, the speed will be limited to the lowest version. The next option is the Oculink eGPU. It will be more expensive than M.2. It has a more convenient connection, and it uses PCIe 4 version. Just like M.2, Oculink is not hot swappable, so your device should be switched off whenever you need to connect or disconnect the GPU. There is no laptops with Oculink port yet, and if you don't want your laptop to be tied to eGPU with M.2 option, you can combine Oculink with M.2 adapter, since they are compatible. Some people drill holes in their laptop cases for this, and sometimes even in handhelds. But again, you need to sacrifice one M.2 slot for that. But some handhelds and mini PCs already have Oculink port, so that's a definitely good option for them. And the last one is Thunderbolt, which is the most expensive, convenient, functional and at the same time less performant option of eGPU. Its bandwidth speed reaches up to 40 gigabits per second, but to work with eGPU, it uses the same PCIe 3 lines, which reduces the bandwidth speed to 32 gigabits per second. And the actual speed is about 23 gigabits per second. I have a separate video on this topic, and if you're interested, watch it later too. But why is this option is the most expensive? Because this connection is not limited to PCIe lines only. My eGPU dock has USB and Type-C port, so I was able to connect some peripherals and external SSD this way. It also supports charging while plugged in, and it's hot swappable, which allows you to turn your portable device into a full-fledged PC at any time with a single cable. I often get asked, I have a Type-C port 3 point whatever, will it work for me? No. You should have exactly the Thunderbolt 3 or 4 port with the lightning icon on Intel-based device, or USB 4 if it's AMD based. Will it work better if you have Thunderbolt 4? No. All existing eGPUs are made based on Thunderbolt 3 specs. Another question is what GPU to choose? And there is no specific answer here. For example, Oculink can handle almost any graphics card. Even 4090 works pretty good on it. which you'll see in a moment. But don't forget that the graphics card must be on PCIe 4 to maximize the bandwidth speed. Because I was surprised to see the performance loss even on RTX 2060, and without this comment I wouldn't have guessed the reason. Then I double checked, and indeed it worked on PCIe 3. It still will perform better than Thunderbolt, but with PCIe 4 that difference would be even more noticeable. So GPU choice will mostly depend on your budget and usage plans. Just don't forget about CPU bottleneck. In case of a Thunderbolt eGPU, it's hard to recommend something, but due to the lower bandwidth limit, it doesn't make much sense to connect expensive GPUs. I have a video where I connected RTX 4090 to a laptop with i7-13700H, and I was not happy with the result. But to be fair, I should mention that I didn't disable resizable bar at that time, and it can negatively affect the GPU performance in some games. But again, it doesn't mean that if you connect something like RTX 2060, it will work without performance loss. You'll see that later in the benchmarks. But you should definitely avoid GPUs from Intel, as they themselves admit that drivers are not prepared for such usage scenario. When choosing a power supply for the Thunderbolt eGPU, consider not only the power consumption of the GPU, but also don't forget about power for USB devices and charging via Thunderbolt, which is roughly plus 100 or 150 watts. All that's left is to compare the performance. For representative results, I've done benchmarks on my desktop PC, so we will have the same components with different ways of connecting GPU, including direct connection. All benchmarks will be done in 4K resolution, with max settings, without DLSS to remove CPU dependency, but with RTX if supported. And resizable bar is disabled in BIOS. I know that ray tracing loads the CPU, but I'm going to show you how this feature affects performance because there are a lot of instructions between GPU and CPU, which affects bandwidth a lot. But again, I already covered this topic in another video. In addition to poor performance, Cyberpunk crashed several times during benchmarks. Spider-Man launched on the 5th try. In Diablo 4, Thunderbolt also barely works. But here's how it works without RTX. But Callisto Protocol was an exception, apparently because in general it's not very CPU demanding. And the rest of games without RTX. I will also show you on the example of RTX 2060 what difference in performance can be between 23 and 32 gigabits per second of bandwidth speed. Just let me remind you that RTX 2060 works on PCIe 3, which is only half of Oculink capabilities. In the end, we see a total domination of Oculink over Thunderbolt. So he was right? Not quite. Here's how my handheld connection to the eGPU looks in comparison. In case of Thunderbolt, I plugged in one cable and I can already use it. But with Oculink, it becomes a whole quest. Turn off your device, connect the Oculink cable, power cable and peripherals. Luckily I have a USB hub for that. Optional step. Some devices like my handheld needs eGPU dock to be turned on first for a handshake. My other eGPU doesn't have a power button, so unfortunately I can't make it work with my handheld. And now we can turn on device. And now if you want to switch location, turn off your device first. This won't be a problem for you if you rarely disconnect your eGPU. but it was a problem for me. Also, I have to mention that Thunderbolt can be used with a cable up to 3 meters long, while Oculink is limited to 80 centimeters. Although I was able to work with the 1 meter cable without any noticeable problems, but we can notice a slight difference in bandwidth speed. And if you think that the cable length is not important, in my case it was, because I organized a gaming zone with eGPU literally in my bed. And considering that many laptops and handhelds are already equipped with this port, this might be the most convenient option for many. I'm not saying it's better, but it's a better fit for me. So I hope I've given you something to think about. As always, it will be interesting to hear what do you think about this eGPU topic. I actually thought I would have a Thunderbolt 5 review by this time, but I guess development is a bit delayed. And thanks to you Green for supporting small channels like mine. And if you want to support me too, you can like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you on the next one.